Unfortunately, today there are so many distractions that pull us away from reading well and thinking critically. This is really bad for humanity. All the time I hear my philosophy professor friends and my teacher friends talk about how their students are getting worse and worse at reading and thinking critically. They're unable to pull out an author's meaning or the content or their arguments. They just can't do it. Now, some of that's probably because they're wasting their time on social media, getting trapped in infinite scrolling, or because they're offloading their cognitive faculties to an AI all the time. Whatever the case, the remedy is pretty simple. It's turning away from the things that suck your attention and warp and melt your mind and turning towards something as simple as reading more books. Now, I make a lot of videos on reading habits and study tips and tricks, but in this video, I want to pull a lot of those together and give you a summary for how to become a better reader. I don't know who's watching this video. You probably already want to grow in your ability to read and remember and think critically. But let's say you just stumbled upon this video. Why should you become a better reader? Real quick, let me just list off some of the benefits of reading. Reading is becoming a lost art. So if you can become a better reader, you're going to set yourself apart with a unique ability to think critically about the text. That's awesome. That in and of itself is fantastic. Number 2, reading will help you sharpen your mind, especially if you're actively reading. You're going to be able to look at someone else's thoughts and follow their train of thought and grow as a thinker as you're reading fiction or nonfiction. Following a plot, following an argument is going to be good for your mind. Number 3 is super practical. You're going to learn new stuff, and that is an intrinsic good most of the time. Maybe not all knowledge is good. Like maybe it's not good to know what it's like to be betrayed, or maybe it'd be better if humanity didn't know how to make nuclear bombs or something like that. But most knowledge is an intrinsic good, I'd say. So read books, learn new stuff. Number 4, reading can help you unwind before bed, whereas scrolling or binge watching does the opposite. It keeps you up. It wants to keep you up. It wants to keep you watching, keep your eyes on the screen, suck away your time and attention. Don't do that. Unwind with a good book. Number 5, reading can help ignite your own imagination. So reading a really good author often inspires you to go out and write your own stuff. This works for fiction or nonfiction. You don't really know who you're going to become after reading a certain book. It may actually change who you are and what you like to do. All right, and there's a bunch more, but I'll just list one more. Number 6, reading can help you break bad habits like binge watching and like scrolling your life away. Replace those bad habits with a good habit like reading, and you get all these extra benefits. Now, some of you may be audiobook apologists and you want to bring up how good audiobooks are. Audiobooks are great. I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but that is a different skill set than active reading. Active listening is awesome, and I think if you're only active reading, you should also work on active listening, but vice versa. And this video is just about tips to help you become a better reader. So do both for sure, but you're going to find reading tips for the rest of this video. So are we all good? Reading is good. I think we should do it. If you're here, you probably already think that as well. Now, speaking of good books and learning a bunch from books, I want to briefly talk about the sponsor for this video, The Book by Hungry Minds.
This book is seriously so cool. I mean, look at this thing. It's a compendium of all the information you'd need to rebuild society if some existential threat stopped being a threat and became a reality. So every bunker and time capsule should have one of these things in it. But it's not just for our post-apocalyptic future ancestors to enjoy. It's also a beautiful art book for curious minds to read today. The book is really entertaining and great to reread, even if you're not trying to rebuild society. The book is over 400 pages of information on the most amazing human inventions, each of which includes exclusive handmade illustrations, which are a unique blend of engineering drawings and a medieval art style. It also has lots of Easter eggs and hidden clever references that you may not find with just one read. Many of us modern folks think we're so much smarter than those who came before us, but if we were sent back in time just 500 years, we wouldn't even be able to help the world advance at all, because most of us don't actually know how inventions work. If that describes you, and it definitely describes me, then you definitely need the book. There are 23 chapters in here covering 180 topics put together by over 50 artists, illustrators, scientists, researchers, copywriters, and more. It has detailed information on topics like pigeon mail, martial arts, livestock, reinforced concrete, saxophones, painting, chess, storytelling, telephones, meteorology, submarines, tanks, refrigerator devices, various animal traps, power plants, hydraulic devices, edible and inedible plants, how pens work, how radios work, and way, way more. The book has everything. It really is an encyclopedia. So grab your own copy of the book and one for your loved ones from the link in the description or in the pinned comment,
and use promo code ParkNotes for 10% off. So big thanks to Hungry Minds for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into those reading tips. Okay, so I have 4 tips for us. Number 1, make goals. Number 2, plan to read. Number 3, utilize notebooks. And number 4, read with others. So let's start with making goals. If you want to become better at something, you're going to have to make goals, and you're going to have to set about to achieve those goals. So reading is just like anything else. You have to make reading goals. Now, most people are going to come up with a yearly goal. They're going to say, I want to read 12 books in the next year. That's 1 book per month. That is actually really doable. I think you can do that, and I think that's actually a worthwhile goal. But maybe you want to double that and say, I'm going to read 24. That's 2 a month. That's not so bad. Some people say, I'm going to read 1 a week. I'm going to get through 52 books in this next year. That's actually a lot, depending on the books and the content. So maybe don't start with that goal if you're just trying to develop a reading goal for the first time. But something like 1 book a month is pretty good. But what matters most is not the sheer number of books that you read in a year. What matters even more than that is developing a daily reading habit. So something I like even more than a yearly number of books completed is a daily page number goal. This is a goal you come up with based on how many pages you think you can actually read every single day. So maybe it's 10 pages, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 50 pages. You come up with a goal that you think you can actually achieve that will stretch you just a little bit, but is actually still achievable. This will ensure that you read every single day. And that is important. But maybe you say, look, I'm not sure how many pages I can read every single day, so I'm going to start with a time goal. I'm going to say that I can read for half an hour every single day or for 15 minutes. Whatever you think you can actually do, set that as your reading time goal every single day. Now, these 3 goals are not necessarily mutually exclusive. You can add all these 3 together to help yourself become a better reader. So for instance, maybe your goal for this next year is to read 12 books. That's 1 book a month. Take the book for the month of January and look at how many pages it has, and then divide that by the number of days in January. And now you have a daily page number goal. And then you say, hey, I'm going to try to hit that goal in a half an hour every single day. And so now you have a daily time spent reading goal. You have a daily page number goal, and you're looking to accomplish this yearly number of books completed goal. Do you see how that's an actionable plan to accomplish your goals? That's so much better than just trying to wing it. If you wing it, maybe you'll accomplish something, but probably not. Now, some of you may be saying, hey, look, I want to read for fun. I don't want to make this a chore. Well, you're going to have to develop a habit. You're going to have to become a reader. And in the beginning phases of that, it will feel like a chore. There's going to be some days when you don't feel like reading. But if you don't work at it, you're not going to become a better reader. It's just like anything else. It's just like lifting weights. It's just like practicing a sport. You have to do it on the days you don't really feel like doing it. And then you'll thank yourself later when you have achieved your goals, when you become a really good reader who can read a lot of books and learn new information and benefit in all the ways that we talked about in the beginning of this video. So that's tip number 1, make reading goals. So tip number 2 is pretty simple. It's just plan to read. Plan your reading times. My dad always told me you make time for what you love. And when I wanted to become a better reader, I had to force myself to love reading. And that meant making time to read. I had to look at my calendar and decide, when am I actually going to make this time to read the books that I want to read? If I never make any time, I'll never have any time. So if I want to accomplish these reading goals that I've set for myself, I need to find a time for it in my calendar. And so here you're going to give yourself permission to read. You're going to set a time block, and you're going to say, for the next 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, I am going to be reading. Treat it like an appointment, treat it like a meeting, and say, look, I'm not doing anything else for this period of time. I'm just reading. What I like to do to protect that time is set an alarm. Sometimes I set it on my phone, or I'll use an external timer and I'll just turn my phone off. And then I know for the next 30, 60, 90-minute period, I'm just reading and the world's going to be okay without me. So I suggest you do that yourself and you make a plan to actually read. The next tip is utilize a notebook or notebooks. I have a Leuchtturm 1917 A6. That's my pocket notebook, and I use this in order to write down the ideas that pop up in my head as I am reading. You may find that when you start reading, your brain is going to want to do all sorts of other things because reading is actually really hard. It takes a lot of effort, and your brain is lazy and wants to do anything else. So if your brain is anything like mine, it's going to start spamming out ideas and to-dos, and it's going to say, you don't have time for this. Think about this instead. Do something easier. You may also find that your phone is going to be luring you in, saying, look, over here. This is much more easy than reading a book. Come on, come scroll. Don't listen to them. This is the time that you've set aside to read. So what I do instead is I have my notebook with me, and then if I have an idea or a to-do, I just write it down, and then I can get back to reading. I don't have to worry about losing that thought or losing that task or forgetting about something. That's going in here, and then I can put it away, and I can be free to continue my reading. So then the last tip is just read with others. Reading alone is all right, but it's way more fun if you're discussing what you've read with someone else. This also helps you be accountable. You're accountable to someone else, and accountability doesn't really sound fun, but it is more fun to read with someone else. If you have someone pushing you saying, hey, dude, you got to get through this chapter because I really want to talk about what happens. You're not going to believe what happened. That is exciting. That's not just accountability. I know I should be. No, that's exciting. Okay, my buddy is reading this book and he's waiting for me, so I need to find some time to keep reading this book. I always compare this to eating a really good meal. Like, the meal would be diminished if you were able to eat it, but you were not allowed to talk about it at all. Like, if it was physically impossible for you to talk about that meal, it wouldn't be as good because part of the experience of the meal is enjoying it with someone else and talking about it. Experiences come to fruition when we're able to talk about them, and the same is true with reading. So how do you find people to read with you? Well, first up, a really easy way is just buy another copy of that book and give it to one of your friends and say, hey, you should read this with me. I'm reading it right now, and I would love to read this book with you. Another option, I've never done this, but I kind of dream about it. It would be really cool. Start a family book club with your parents, your siblings, your grandma, whoever. It would just be really cool to have a family book club that you get together with your family once a month or something like that, and you guys discuss the book that you're reading. But lastly, this one I know for sure will work. Join a Substack read-along group. There are a lot of these on Substack. There are scholars who are reading through books, and they write essays to help you get the most out of your books. Now, I personally do this on Parker's Ponderings. I'll leave a link in the description. We just read through Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? Now we're going to start reading some Augustine. We're going to be reading his soliloquies. We've read some really, really good books so far, and we're going to read a ton more. So come join us if you want a community to read along with. All right, so that's it. Those are my tips. If you guys have any extra tips that I missed, please drop those in the comments. That is always helpful. Make sure to leave a like if you like this video, and then share this video with a friend who you think needs to step up their reading game. All right, that's going to do it for now. I'll catch you guys next time.